It was New Year's Eve in 2008, my first ever trip to Pakistan. I sat alone in an ugly guest house room, wondering, how did my life come down to this? But I was also thinking how to find important stories during this 1-month assignment. The story I wanted the most, like so often, was also the most dangerous. I had just read a tiny news story in a local paper. The Taliban were closing all schools for girls. So just before midnight, I called a courageous Pakistani journalist. His name was Irfan Ashraf, and I asked him, how many girls will this affect? 50,000 schoolgirls, he said. Why isn't anyone covering it? He laughed at this dumb American and said, well, it's too dangerous, dear. That 1 month turned into a year, and by the end, we had brought the story to the world, thanks to Irfan's astonishing bravery and 2 grassroots activists, Malala Yousafzai and her father Zawuddin. They let me document their struggle in the face of death. Literally, in the face of death. Journalists may be wired as objective observers, but I have to be honest with you this evening. This family made me care so deeply about a place, their Pakistan. It may be the most anti-American place on earth, but fortunately for me, there's an exception for awkward Americans. You know the rest of this painful story. I still wrestle with some guilt, Malala still struggles with surgeries, and Pakistan's gender crisis continues to victimize millions of Malalas. Here are 2 quick examples. Out of all of the women in Pakistan who could go to university, 5% are enrolled. And the country has the 2nd lowest rate in the world of female employment, lower than Saudi Arabia. These victims are adult versions of Malala. So what do? Well, the Nobel Peace Prize would certainly be nice, but the real prize is enduring peace. And to achieve that, Pakistan must go far beyond building schools. The Taliban still live amongst the people where Malala called home. The government has to find a way to engage with this small but violent minority. They see the world in a very different light, and they're not going anywhere. Documentarians like us often tell stories of the heroes, not the enemies. Heroes are important, but from Pakistan to Papua, enemies have perspectives too. And to achieve enduring peace, all voices need to be understood. So I am now in my next mission, which is not just to find the next Malala, but to tell the stories of those with opposing views. What are their values and beliefs? Why did they resort to violence? And what does their vision of peace look like? Is there a middle ground? Those types of stories may be more difficult for us to watch, but it's our duty as storytellers to offer this public service too. Hopefully, that can spare the next Malala. Thank you for honoring my work.